there are a number of well-known brands who are right now living hand to mouth economically, that they're having to face fundamental questions of, how, do we need payroll next month, or do we introduce a new product? Do we push it back in order we can meet payroll for another month? I mean, we joke about it at work, and we say, well, we have to tell our boss that flat is the new growth.
Paper is at a historic high price right now, and that certainly affects the newspapers more. This would be an impossible time for a new magazine, a new paper-ing magazine to start in North America. I can't see how anybody can do it in virtually any field.
The music itself, I mean, what's happened to it? I mean, I visited Art last summer, and Art was playing the 78s, and he played me a Louis Armstrong recording from the early 1930s. And my goodness, I mean, not only did the music jump out of his speakers, but the sound quality was pretty damn good for something which was over 70 years old. And so much of the recordings that are now released sound worse than that. And what is the point of a high-end system if the recordings themselves are compromised?
There are a lot of record labels who are selling vinyl, CDs, and downloads now, but the downloads are often lower quality. But if perhaps they were to offer high-res downloads, that would be a great thing. I'm thinking of labels like Drag City and Thrill Jockey, The Language of Stone. All these labels are interested in really high-quality sound, but they're not offering their downloads as high-res. Their downloads are 128 kilobit MP3s. If they were to change, I think that would help out a lot.
We all have our own preferences in music, and I may cause my audiophile membership card to be withdrawn, but I would rather listen to music that I like on a computer in compressed format than music that I really don't like on very high resolution. My concern is about music.
Something happens which literally blows my mind, and it doesn't fit into the worldview, such as Stephen wrote on his blog last week about the trip he and I had made to Michael Frenner's house. Stephen and Michael are chatting away in Michael's listening room. I am in the room outside Michael's listening room, setting up my computer and my mic preamps and so on to do the measurements. And I hear them play a Diana Krall track. And then there's a short gap, and I'm still fussing around the cables and so on. And then I hear the same track again, and it sounded somewhat different and more bass. So I'm thinking, well, Michael must have played Stephen maybe the original pressing, and then maybe a mobile fidelity pressing, to show the difference. So I come out and I said, that second one had more bass. What were you doing? Was it a different pressing? And Michael said, oh no, I demagnetized the LP. And I think, oh no. Because I know if I tell anybody outside our immediate community, they'll laugh and they'll think that we're crazy, and my goodness, we all have sort of, fairies at the bottom of our garden sitting on toadstools. But I mean, so where does it end? Where does the science end and the silliness begin?
It starts as soon as I wake up. What the hell's going on? Like, what are we doing? This is silly right now, talking about these things, but it's fun. And as long as it's fun, go for it. If you get a kick out of putting your record on the DMAG and pressing the button, and that's wonderful, you go for it, do it.
Well, I can't see for Stereophile, because I'm not an official of Stereophile, but I can tell you how I select products for review for myself. And that is to go around at a show like this, or at CES, or some sort of dealers, and I look for products that interest me.
The review as a whole, even when it's positive, may still have caveats, which comes from the measurement section. And manufacturers pay those measurement sections. A manufacturer was telling me recently that we published a very positive review of a product, and the measurements pointed out that the product did have some limitations, and those limitations would be an issue in some circumstances. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, but it's still a good product, right? We gave it a good review, and the manufacturer said, sales stopped dead. You know? Because in this climate, nobody wants to buy a product, apparently, that isn't perfect in every way. So he said, you know, I'm going to think twice before submitting anything more to Stereophile, because even if you give an honest review, it's not really what I need, and I can get a rave review on the internet from anybody rather than an honest review on Stereophile. So I said, okay, you do that. So, you know, I mean, Stereophile will give you an honest opinion, but it may not be, you know, when you say I want a review on Stereophile, actually a review on Stereophile may not be what you need.
Frequently asked question number 3, I believe. Many very gifted women photographers, but the ones that I have seen interviews with, or people that I've talked to, they're much less interested in the hardware and more interested in the artistic aspects, whereas men are more likely to be, well, there's a new 5D Mark II, have you bought it yet, that sort of thing. And there just seems to be, if you like, a socialization of little boys and men to be interested in mechanical things, trucks and that kind of thing, which translates into a number of other fields, including audio, where there's emphasis on hardware. And audio combines both the artistic and the technical aspect, and men seem to be certainly more heavily loaded on the technical. There are, of course, some women involved in audio at the professional level who are very successful and they're very good at what they do. So it's not 100%. And sometimes they have difficulty getting across to even other women that there is a technical aspect that's important as well as an artistic aspect. So it's not necessarily easy to be a woman in audio, but some have been extremely successful at it.
I think the lights have come up means that we have to bring this to an end. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening. And I hope you all have